you already know the drill. If we're not adapting, we're constantly falling behind as social media managers. And that's why today I'm gonna go over the 5 social media trends that are changing the way we're strategizing and creating content that drive actual business results. These are the things that are getting our clients thousands of views each month that you can implement right away. So grab your notes because we are diving straight in. Hey, my name is Mel and I own a $500,000 social media marketing agency, and I now help social media managers like yourself do the same. Now, if you're new here and you haven't grabbed my free guide on how to become a high-paid social media manager yet, then make sure you grab it in the description below. So let's get started. Now, the first social media trend in 2025 is carousel first content, especially if we're talking Instagram. Now, carousels have made a huge comeback when it comes to Instagram, and really what I like to call them nowadays is they are the new Reels. It's no longer that you just have to rely on Reels to get in front of new non-followers, but carousels have really changed the game this year because Instagram is heavily pushing them in the Reels feed. It's very similar to how we see the slideshows on TikTok, of course, that we're now seeing on Instagram, where if you create a carousel where you add music to it, it automatically can get recommended in the Reels feed as a swipe file as well. So this means that you no longer just have to create Reels to get in front of non-followers and push for that visibility. So of course, this is a huge game changer for business owners as well, and it's adjusting the way people create content. So you will see a whole lot of carousels on Instagram right now where people no longer necessarily tap into sharing their podcast videos or snippets, but instead is where they'll take screenshots of the actual podcast scenes and write the text on it. And so this is a new way that people are adjusting to this format and getting such great results. Now, I'm not quite sure who actually started with that podcast swipe file, but it's one I've really loved. But always industry leaders such as the Hormozis, Gary Vee, all of those big players that do an amazing job at their personal brands are utilizing these trends and are usually one of the first to actually adapt them. Now, of course, there are many different ways you can utilize carousels, whether it's for visibility nowadays, or you want to nurture your audience and educate them in long form carousel text-based content, or you want to talk about your services and convert them. Carousels are literally so flexible in that way that you can position them nowadays as top of funnel, middle funnel, and bottom of funnel. And that is something that can be a lot harder to do with Reels, depending on your account or your client's account and what is actually working for them. But this is something I would heavily lean into towards through the rest of the year so that you can really get the most results without necessarily doing more work. Now, the second social media trend that you need to adjust on and adapt is there is more in real-time content. I've noticed this for myself as an agency owner, where we're currently adjusting and adapting our systems and processes so that we can make sure we have that flexibility as a team with our clients and managing their accounts to still have in real-time content. So just to give you an example on what that used to look like for us is we would plan 1 month's worth of content calendar for a client ahead of time. So this month we will be creating the full content calendar for next month. Now, here is the catch with that. You need systems in place to plan ahead for your client to review and all of those things to make it sustainable. But social media loves the in real-time content. It's so authentic for people to just whip out their phone, share a message that isn't necessarily pre-planned. So how we adjusted to this is that we created an extra calendar, as we call it, where when we're doing trends, like trend reports that we want clients to record while it's trending, or if there is something time sensitive, something groundbreaking, something a client films off the whip, we will edit and post it for them in real time without making it part of the content calendar. And this shift has been huge. I can tell you, we're seeing the highest performing content from the in real time content. Of course, also because it's trending and because the purpose of in real time content is top of funnel. So it makes sense that it's doing exactly what we want it to do, but you need to keep that in mind when you are a social media manager and you are planning ahead, that you need to keep your client's best interest at heart. Now, if you're a social media manager who is struggling with their systems and processes, whether you're just starting out or you're looking to scale, this is something I teach inside of the Elite Social Society, a monthly membership and community program where you get access to me with live coaching, community channels, other social media managers, and a full library of content that you won't see on YouTube. I'll drop the link in the description for you to check out, and I hope to see you inside. Now, the third social media trend we're seeing in 2025 is AI generated content. Now, I don't mean this in a bad way at all. It is becoming more and more normalized for AI generated content to be on our feeds. Now, this is often not even the most obvious content, and I'm not just talking about ChatGPT generated captions or using AI to assist you, but tools like Adobe Firefly that I have talked about a ton that we utilize in our workflow, but also AI influencers that are on the rise and successful, and video or imagery content that is now on the feeds, and it's really, really hard to notice. Now, another thing with AI generated content is apps and tools that are AI based, such as the Captions app is extremely popular. You may have seen these video edits and styles all over Instagram, and it is using the Captions app. That is the name of the app. It makes it so simple to use the tool and use their AI features to super quickly chop up a video, make it look professional, have engaging effects, and get ready to post. I see this more and more too with social media managers who are looking to fill a gap when clients don't have content or don't provide enough content. We're gonna be leaning more and more on AI because that's our best possible solution. Now, while at the beginning of the year, or even a few months ago, it may have sounded crazy that someone says AI influencers are taking over, I've been seeing more and more about this and successful case studies of people using AI clones and creating user-generated content for brands more and more. And we've already seen this on TikTok and Instagram, where AI influencers have built accounts and that are fully AI-generated content. Now, this is gonna become more and more because AI simply isn't going anywhere. So one of the biggest takeaways from this for you is to really start learning AI and adapting that into your services and into your output so that you're able to keep up with this trend over time. Now, the fourth social media trend I'm seeing in 2025 is employee generated content. This kind of backs up on my last point, where sometimes it can be a lot harder to get content from clients, whether it's, professionally shot content that they like to do for their brand or videos. It's becoming harder. And so what we're seeing more and more on the rise is employee generated content, where we'll take content that's shot by your team members on their iPhone in real time, and it performs unlike anything else. I've written several case studies on this for my clients to show them how important it is for us to involve our team and your employees that are quite literally the face of your brand, and bringing them to the forefront of their social media. Now, the great thing about this is it's highly effective and it doesn't require a huge budget, because these people are already part of your company, part of your business, and bringing them to the forefront is a win-win. Now, we're seeing this trend too with big corporate companies, just like Starbucks, who recently announced that they're hiring 2 global content creators, one of them being a Starbucks employee already, that is gonna travel the world for 1 year to drink coffee and create content at different Starbucks locations to post on TikTok. Now, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about where we're headed and this trend that all the successful and smart brands are implementing, then I don't know what to tell you. Now, and that leads me into the last social media trend for 2025, where we're going wider rather than more narrow. Now, this conversation has been a topic year after year, whether to niche or whether not to niche. Now, that is less of the question. We're talking more about the topics we talk about on our personal brand, and even as a B2B or corporate brand, where you don't necessarily have a face to the brand yet and you represent yourself as a business, even there we see that going wider can really increase your visibility before narrowing it really down to the people you want to attract. You need visibility in order to get in front of the people that you really want to reach, right? And so a big mistake people can make is to focus too narrow on just the people they want to attract, or to where you cannot possibly attract who you want to attract because you don't even have the visibility there. Now, you may have heard this before, but follower count is actually becoming less and less relevant, and your content and the topics you talk about is becoming more relevant, because nowadays, on whether it's TikTok, we've already seen this on TikTok in the past, but Instagram as well as YouTube, people can find your content regardless of whether they follow you or not, because all of these platforms are becoming more and more searchable, even to the extent where people can find you through ChatGPT. I've had several people mention that they found some of my YouTube videos through ChatGPT, and I've even had members inside of the Elite Social Society that found new clients who mentioned that they found them through a ChatGPT search. And so SEO is really taking over, which makes it for our content to be okay to go a little wider. Because again, people will search topics in social media and land on your page rather than having to follow you. Now, all in all, these are quite a bit of adjustments that are happening this year for you to finish out the rest of the year and see actual results. You need to continue to adapt and adjust in order to stay ahead in this social media game. Now, if you found this video helpful, please comment below, subscribe, and I will see you in my next week's video.